Now time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. We begin at home with politics. In a move that might have altered existing permutations, dismantled political structures, and refocused the battle for 2027 and dealt a death blow on the People's Democratic Party, PDP, former Delta State Governor and 2023 presidential candidate of the party, vice presidential candidate of the party, Ifeanyi Okowa, the incumbent governor of Delta State, Sheriff Oborevwori, along with the entire local government chairman in the state and party apparatchik, yesterday quit the PDP en bloc with all of their structures and joined the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. Expectedly, this move is to further consolidate the chances of President Bola Tinubu in the 2027 presidential run when he would be seeking a re-election. Arise correspondent Jemima Boloko reports.
The defection announcement follows a pivotal closed-door meeting at the government house in Asaba, the Delta State capital. Among those leading the discussion is Senate James Manager, a prominent PDP stalwart and former federal lawmaker at the National Assembly. Manager confirms that the decision to defect follows extensive consultation with political stakeholders across the state.
You cannot be in a boat that is already capsizing because I'm a liberal man. Members of the BOT of the PDP, they were there in their numbers. National Executive Committee members of the PDP from Delta State, they were there. All major stakeholders, the leaders, the youth group, the women group, they were all there. So this is collectivity of a stand by the PDP family in Delta. We are not excluding anybody. Everybody is involved. And just like Charles said, we debated this thing together. We disagreed to agree. Those who didn't agree before were later convinced, and it was unanimous. Everybody agreed to leave the PDP and join the APC.
Former Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, who served as a vice presidential candidate in the 2023 elections, affirms the move, saying it reflects a deeper commitment to unity and long-term progress. In remarks delivered in his native language, Okowa assures supporters.
But I take the decision, it will be in the best interest. I'm already that decision as they take it. Be assured that we will not go in the wrong direction.
We're unanimous in their view that the political temperature have changed. The taste of the palm wine in this instance have also changed, and there was the need for us to adjust the drinking pattern. And in adjusting that drinking pattern, we needed to take a decision that will further help to cement the development in our state, to build the bond of love that have existed in our state, to further advance the cause of security and welfare of our people.
Governor Sheriff Oborevwori, who assumed office under the platform of the People's Democratic Party, says the move to the APC is driven by a desire to fast-track development and align more with the federal government. Governor Oborevwori's official statement is still being awaited, but official sources informed Arise News that he aligns fully with the resolutions taken at the Asaba meeting. Sheriff and Okowa are said to have been accepted as joiners into the All Progressive Congress and not as participants. They are to be formally accepted into the APC on Monday in Delta State by Vice President Kashim Shettima.
You want to hear from me? Yes, you will hear from me on Monday. I just briefed my council chairman to the vice government. They said we are waiting. We're Sheriff. We are Sheriff. We are all Sherified.
As Delta State's political landscape fully shifts into APC, questions now swirl around the future of Senator Ovie Omagege, former Deputy Senate President and the APC's 2023 governorship candidate. Analysts suggest the influx of new power players could reinforce his political base or spark internal competition ahead of the 2027 elections.
Use this local government as a case study. You look at who is who in the local government, who is who in PDP. Until now, have they not all joined us now? Who remain again? Who remain again? Even the ones who never joined us with the years that they plan to come. Yes, now, before the Okowa go no, they go do empty am.
Mama Baloko, Arise News, Asaba, Delta.
Well, in other developments in security, President Bola Tinubu has issued new directives insisting enough is enough on the spate of killings in the north-central region of the country. The directive followed a closed-door meeting at the presidential villa where heads of security and intelligence agencies briefed the president and brought him up to speed on the rising wave of violence. National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, briefing afterward, said the president expressed deep concern over the killings in Plateau, Benue and Borno states and has now ordered a comprehensive overhaul of national security strategies, demanding urgent action to end the bloodshed. Ribadu described the meeting as very detailed and exhaustive. While acknowledging that challenges remain, he insisted progress is being made, but warned that the fight is far from over.
Mr. President is insisting and working so hard to ensure that we have peace, security, and stability in our country. We gave him what is going on, and we also assured him that work is ongoing and continuous. We also carried out his instructions. We went around. The chiefs were all out where we had these sparks and incidents of insecurity. Plateau State, Benue State, even Borno, these particular 3 states. And we gave him a feedback because he directed us to go meet with the political authorities there. Issue of insecurity often is not just federal government. It involves the subunits. They are the ones who are directly with the people, especially if some of the challenges are more or less bordering on community problems. Not entirely everything is that, but of course it plays a significant role. You need to work with the communities, you need to work with the local governments, you need to work with the governors, especially the governors. The president continued to direct that we should be doing that, and that's what we are able to. And we are very happy, very satisfied with the instructions and the directives given by Mr. President this evening.
And finally, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Senator Heineken Lokbobiri, yesterday maintained that the federal government will continue to support more oil sector divestments, facilitate easy exit for international oil companies when necessary, as well as accelerate repatriation of funds to their home countries. Speaking in Abuja when the new management of Renaissance Africa Energy Company, formerly Shell, led by its chief executive Tony Atta, paid him a visit, the minister explained that the Bola Tinubu administration believes that divestment is a global practice. The minister stressed that as Nigeria continues to solicit for more foreign investments, the clear message is that businesses can invest and also divest at will, noting that Nigeria cannot be an exception to what takes place seamlessly in other climes. Several developments from politics to security to economics. Adefemi.
A whole lot to discuss in there. Shall we start with the PDP defections? I think that on its face, what we're seeing here is an acceptance of defeat on so many different realms. First of all, you've accepted defeat in the true spirit of democracy and of competition. You have accepted that you don't believe that you can go through a free and fair election process and win. You are accepting that the PDP as an institution doesn't have the might, doesn't have the ability to win an election, to put up a fair fight. And I think that on its face, that is sad. What it also shows is that, perhaps that's not really a secret, there isn't clear ideological differences in these political parties. So what you're seeing is people jumping back and forth at will. And really, it does show to me a sign of really something that people should be a little bit embarrassed about. If you have stood on a soapbox, if you will, and you've talked critically about the ruling party, about the leadership of the ruling party, about their type of governance, and you have criticized it for years, for you now, over recent times, to defect so suddenly, and I know it's not sudden because we have been talking about the prospect of this recently, but I do think that it is something that people should be quite embarrassed about, especially if you are at the helm of public service. It shows that there is no real belief people should have, supporters of the PDP should have, in these leaders if at any will, you will jump from one party to the other. It just seems so normalized in the politics in this country, and it shouldn't be so. There should be things that are staunchly within the confines of this party and that party. So I do think that on its face, it is quite sad and disappointing. When we're moving on to seeing the president meet up with his intelligence chiefs. I mean, this is an example of President Tinubu getting to work once he, of course, returned back to Nigeria. And I mean, what people are going to want to be seeing is real action. So, okay, fine. He sat down with Nuhu Ribadu, and as we heard in his soundbite there, he gave the president a situation report on different states, specifically Borno, Plateau, Benue, because those are the states that we are seeing these incessant killings in. But I do think that we just need to take this a step further, because these conversations that were had, that we saw the pictures of, could have been had or should have been had, or I'm sure have already been taking place over the course of the killings that have been taking place. So really, there just needs to be a real action plan. What specifically did you talk about? What did the president ask you to do? What plans did you give him? What support did you say that you needed from him in order to do something different? Are you doing something different? What type of ideas do you have to tackle this menace? And I think that eventually we have to get to a point where we are moving away from conversations, people sat in rooms, people prostrating or shaking the hands of different politicians, and really there has to be a real life action plan as to what is actually happening. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to find ourselves in an echo chamber of conversation with no real action taking place.
Okay, this day newspaper, sister publication, this morning said, PDP in disarray. It says, earthquake of Richter scale magnitude has happened in the People's Democratic Party. Why is that headline important? The fact that the People's Democratic Party is a major opposition party, the largest opposition party that we have in Nigeria. And now there have been reports about some, key members of that party going to join the ruling party of Nigeria, the All Progressives Congress. Already, one of their major figures, Nyesom Wike, is serving in the government in a strategic position, and he has been very clear in saying that he will support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And then we are now seeing this shift. First, it was Governor Umoy Eno saying, he will not defect, but he will support President Tinubu for 2027. Now is the entire, what is that word that they use in this day? Apparatchik. Yeah. All these editors, they like fine words. That the entire, apparatus of the party in People's Democratic Party has moved to the APC. And even more significant, it's not just the shift of the governor, the shift of also somebody like Dr. Patrick Ifeanyi Okowa, who was, vice presidential candidate on the platform of the 2023 election for the PDP. So that's why I agree, a seismic shift. The question is, what are we going to see next? Are we likely to have other governors shifting? What it says, conclusively, is that the politics of 2027 has started. Now, what are the elements that I see? One element of self-preservation. I think it's unfortunate that many of these persons who will be shifting from the PDP to the APC, they are not, or from any other political party to the APC, they are not necessarily doing it because of you and I, because of common good. They are doing so to protect their own enlightened self-interest. In other words, it's selfishness that drives Nigerian politics. And these are persons who are primarily interested in their own survival. With the APC having made it clear that ahead of the 2027 general elections, they are going to take over the entire South, if they can be allowed to do so. Now, they may not be able to take over Anambra, where Abuga is very strong on the ground. But with the influence of Mrs. Bianca Ojukwu, they will put up a better showing. Rivers would naturally go also to the APC. They may not take over Akwa Ibom, where the governor says, no, he's not going to the APC, but he will work for President Tinubu. Now, Osun may not go to PDP, may not go to APC. We have a PDP governor there. But Governor Adeleke, in terms of the political sophistry that I see coming from there, will stay in the PDP, but he too may well work for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So you can go on and on and on and like that. Now, still on 2027, the northern states, they've been saying, oh, President Tinubu is not fair to them. Most recently, Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed, who speaks for the Northern Elders Forum, came forward and said, oh, this Tinubu administration is not doing well. Nasir El-Rufai from Kaduna State is leading coalition politics together with former Vice President Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar, presidential candidate in the 2023 election. So you now see that all of these calculations is one, self-interest, two, about 2027. Three, what is emerging that is disturbing is what appears to be a north-south divide. When a man becomes president in Nigeria and then, a part of the country goes against him, the natural thing to do is to go back to your own region. So a north-south divide playing out as part of the subtextual indication of what is going on in Nigeria now, I think it's unfortunate that you are always having this north-south divide. It didn't help us in the First Republic. It didn't help us in 2003. And now we're seeing that pattern emerging again. What are the fears? The fear is, as I pointed out yesterday, the threat to opposition politics. The possible emergence of maybe perhaps what you may call a one-party state. Now, in other African states, Zimbabwe, Cameroon, where you have had, the equivalent of one-party states, it never helped the people. And I think that politics should be about the common good. Politics should be about the people and what the people will gain ultimately, not about the personal, selfish, narrow, tunnel interests of the political elite. However, I summarize by saying that the opposition, I don't think this will lead to the death of the PDP. Even if all the PDP governors or the local council chairmen, they leave. The PDP itself must see this as a wake-up call, as an opportunity to reorganize itself ahead of the 2027 election. A political party can reinvent itself. After all, a political party is an aggregation of persons of common interest who are looking for power to serve the people, not themselves. We must put that footnote there. So this may be an opportunity for the PDP to reorganize, but will the PDP have that capacity to reorganize? That is that about that. As for President Tinubu summoning a meeting of the security chiefs, yes, that's what he is expected to do. While he was away for 19 days in France and in London, there were issues with security arrangements in Nigeria. In Borno, we had a resurgence. In Benue, we had issues. Father Alia, who is the governor, was on this program. And he was saying, look, there's something beyond criminality. This looks to be an intentional attack on the Benue Plateau. In Plateau, there are issues. And then, of course, you have rapists and kidnappers, running riots all over the place. In the absence of the president, the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, assured everyone that indeed, under the watch of this administration, a lot has been done to check the challenge of insecurity. And we argued on this same platform that, well, government cannot run away from their primary responsibility of ensuring the security and welfare of the people. And so the president coming back and summoning a meeting of the security chiefs and acting in a manner that is in fitting with what we have recommended here before, that we have reached a stage where President Tinubu should declare an emergency on security issues in Nigeria, insecurity, on education, on the power sector, because these are very urgent issues, and these are issues that will endear him to the Nigerian people as he seeks re-election in 2027, and as he's beginning to solidify his base, not just in the south. I guess he will make some moves in the north also to gain support by serving the people, not necessarily by political strategy. Those, I think, are very serious issues, but we, the Nigerian people, would like to measure the value of the president's reading a riot act on the challenge of insecurity in terms of how there is an improvement in Borno, in Plateau, in Benue, and in other parts of this country.
Absolutely. Very well said, Dr. Abati. A very robust analysis of all that's transpiring, especially in the world of politics currently. When I read the room yesterday with regards to the average citizen's reaction to the defection of the Delta State governor and the state machinery, what I saw was discouragement and a sense of disenfranchisement. Because the question is, what does my vote matter if all of these dynamics are still going to change and we're not a part of the conversation that leads to these sudden changes in the political landscape? The first question one has to ask is, why is it that if a lawmaker, a legislator, a House of Assembly member, House of Representatives member, National Assembly member is to defect, they lose their seat? But why is the Constitution silent about whether defection leads to the vacation of office for a governor? So a conversation we need to have here is, should a governor's mandate in his state still remain if he chooses to defect? We had a very insightful conversation with Chief Bode George just a couple of days ago here on this program, where he was saying that the party is supreme. The party would have given you all of its support, its apparatus, its money to give you this ticket, for you to just wake up one day and move. Besides the party is the people who would have voted for, yes, you as an individual, but under the ticket of a particular party. So I think there's an important review that needs to be made with regards to the area where the Constitution is silent about the defection of governors. And I always speak about precedents. We saw in 2022 when Governor of Cross River State, Ben Ayade, crossed the floor with his entire state apparatchik, as we are now calling it, and defected from PDP to APC. And nothing happened. So the precedent has been set that a governor can do that. Several governors can do so, and nothing will happen. This is unfortunate because this game is not about those in power. This is about governance and delivering the dividends of democracy to the people. What then happens to the people who will now feel disenfranchised by the fact that what they voted for, what they endorsed, has now evolved? This is politics of personality. This is what leads many to fear that we can eventually move into a one-party state, because politicians, unfortunately, will always act in their self-interests. Now, when we speak of a one-party state, there's a tendency for us to want to lay the blame on the APC, but the APC cannot do the work of the opposition. What does the PDP have to offer its people, its members, its sitting officials, and the people? And PDP has been in disarray, as the front page of This Day said today. It has been in disarray for so long, and we have called it out. Every single side of society has called it out several times. But yet nothing has been done. It seems unable to resolve the issues in its own house, and this is what eventually happens. What happens is that you begin to lose some of your frontline soldiers, who are your sitting governors. So now the question we ask ourselves is, what are some of the remedies that can be done? Because I'm focusing on the people here. What are some of the remedies? And I like that Chief Bode George had also put forward an argument for proportional representation. Maybe it's a time that people just vote for the party. And the party is what is in power. And if you choose to defect from the party, you also leave your office and your position, and the party chooses who they will displace you with. Maybe it's a time to move away from the winner-takes-all politics, because the winner-takes-all politics is not moving us forward. What it is doing is that it's empowering strong men, and it's empowering those who have the ability to outmaneuver and out-strategize others. Chief Bode George also used the word rudderless when he was describing some of these governors who are choosing to defect. And I think it's a very poignant point, because if you think about the time when Bola Tinubu was a governor himself, he was a rugged and a dogged governor. He faced all manner of opposition and challenges, yet he found ways to make it work within his own state. Now, it's unfortunate that it seems that we no longer have this caliber of politicians who are ready to stand by their beliefs and stand true to the ticket that they were given and see it through to the very end. We have to be careful about the politics of power. Very quickly, I want to applaud the Minister of Minerals on this continued promotion of indigenization of the oil sector. Divestment is indeed as important as investment. Assuring investors that being able to bring their money in should be as easy as removing their money when they need to is very important. However, what's more important is highlighting the fact that as these international oil companies divest and leave our shores, there's an opportunity for our local oil companies to come in and to step into the gap. So for that, I congratulate them, and I hope that there can be more policies that can be constituted that will support indigenous oil firms who are trying to get into the game in being able to get going and get running.